Welcome to a brand new bonus episode of the Jungle Podcast, where I discuss the struggles of life and mental health. And the struggle that I'll be talking about today is mental health at work. When we struggle with mental health, in most cases, the foundation of the issues we deal with doesn't normally come from work. In most cases, people have a weird relationship with their jobs. Some days you truly want to go to work and shake some hands, do your job, and get it out the way. That's most days. And other days you'll do whatever it takes just to get home. And when you do get home, you so drained, you can't even deal with nothing related to you personally because you just want to go to bed. So first thing I want to start out with is the facts. Of course, I have to back these podcasts up with actual real statistics. So I got some facts for y'all. Fact number one is about 300 million people around the world suffer from depression. Now, this depression don't necessarily have anything to do with work, just the records provided and everything that they have on people getting help. About 300 million people around the world get help. I'll say that. Now, think about it like this. It's 300 million people in the world, in the United States alone. The United States has about 330 million people, about roughly. I just want to think about where the world would be if every person in the United States had depression. United States now. Think about the role that the U.S. plays. I'm not saying the U.S. is better than any other country. I'm just saying think about the role that the U.S. plays in the world financially. Think about how significant those 300 million people are. Think about what they could accomplish together if, per se, they didn't suffer from maybe depression. If all those people had decent mental health, where would the world be? That's just a thinking point. It has nothing to do with the episode. It's just a thinking point. Fact number two, out of all employers who became aware of a worker suffering from depression, 64% would refer that person to some sort of assistance program. Now, this is a talking point because you got to think about the people that didn't become aware. Story for the fellas real quick. Think about, fellas, your girl comes home to you after her long day at work and she has 1,000,001 things to get off her mind. You know more about the problems that she has at her job than her supervisor does. They never tell the person that can possibly fix the problem. They come home and tell us. Why is that? That makes no sense. But think about those people, all those people that don't come, that are not aware. That's a lot of people, because mainly the reason nothing changes about having depression at work, whether it's from your job or not, is because people don't know. Closed mouths don't get fed. Now I want you to think about the 36% of the employers that were aware, but they just didn't care. Because it said only 64% would refer that person. So what about the other 36% of employers that just didn't do nothing? That kind of bothered me, because employees are just numbers at this point. They don't care about your mental health. They don't care about your well-being. They just care about what you can do to make them look good. If you work in one of those organizations that's like that, you need to find a new organization, period. And address the issues that you have. I got some things that possibly can help. Some ideas that possibly can help y'all's, depression at work, if that's what y'all are going through. The number one thing is, don't feel embarrassed about how you feel. People all over the world feel exactly the same way, or maybe worse. About 300 million people to be exact, if we count in numbers. There's no hit to your pride for giving yourself a better work environment. And I understand you might be comfortable with your job and you might have to do what you got to do to make money. But at the end of the day, it's not as important as your mind. I did number 2, drink water, eat a good meal before you go to work. People that suffer from anxiety and depression, they don't normally take perfect care of their bodies. I'm not saying this to, demean anybody. I'm just saying it's normal. When you have all this stuff on your mind, you might forget, you might skip a meal. You might forget to drink water that day. And now you snapping at work because you hangry. You have, you hungry and you already annoyed and upset. So it may not necessarily be you have a mental health issue. You might just not be giving your body what it needs. So just keep that into consideration. And that leads me into number 3, have a good routine before work. When you can have some alone time to take care of yourself and the things that you care about, whether it be eating breakfast or having coffee, reading something in the morning, doing what you got to do before work. If you can set that up every day before you go to work, it'll make your work day a lot easier. It'll make your work day a lot, easier to deal with. Number 4, set small goals. The work day can seem so long and overwhelming sometimes. Make sure you organizing all your tasks into small goals. Make sure you're breaking down everything that you got to do so you don't feel like you're overwhelmed and you don't have an anxiety attack at work. Number 5 is the most important one out of all of them. Number 5 is get help. Those that have problems in the workplace, listen to me. You don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to go home and talk to your significant other about it all night. You don't have to, complain about it on social media. Just go to the source of the problem and see if they can help you. And I'm not saying the source of the problem at work, the source of your problem mentally. Go to a therapist, go to a pastor or a mentor, whatever you have to do. But at the end of the day, you have a decision to make. What's more important, your well-being or your job? And I understand work is one of those responsibilities that we can't run from. We got to put food on the table at the end of the day. But me, when I'm at my lowest points in life, when I'm going through the wire, I could care less about what's in my fridge. And that's real. Whenever we going through the wire, nothing else matters. And that's exactly why there's a such thing as suicide. People commit to that. People commit to suicide, meaning they ain't committed to nothing else but that. They're not committed to bills. They're not committed to family. They're not committed to work or money. They ain't even committed to themselves at this point. So when you make that choice to suffer in silence about your anxiety or about your depression or whatever it is that your mental health, if you're not getting help, whether it's at work or whether it's at home, you need to ask yourself, what are you really committed to? And that's everything I have for y'all today on the Jungle Podcast. This was a bonus episode. Stay tuned for more episodes to come. And if you haven't checked out my series on imposter syndrome, make sure you go do that. The link will be in the description and it'll be on the end cards. Thank you so much for all the support. And remember, your mental health is the most important thing in life. That's the most important thing.